If you were Tom Turkeys, you'd be going wild right now.
Has an E in it, and Sully, the pilot,
it is 7:01. If you were at my Arizona presentation 2 years ago, I feel like a lot of people did not come today because they were like, "Ooh, I went to Jessica's Arizona presentation 2 years ago." And
Sully, when I spelled it Sully, and Sully is, so then I look back at the email and it's no E in it, so he's got. So it's screwed up from the beginning, the poor guy. He doesn't even know who he is.
Not just your actual safety, but your feeling of safety is very important to us at Aiken Audubon. Anyway, let's get started. So we are recording. Oh, thank you. Ooh, Tally, get him, girl. Tally said on the chat, she said, mute yourself. But anyway, I am your president, Jessica Miller. You're going to hear me talk a lot tonight. Vice President Heather Weber Langvart is on some adventure in some other cool part of the world. Next time you see her, you'll have to ask her about it. Secretary Mary Wilson is up front and center. She's where the A students sit. Treasurer Linda Hodges. Hey, back there. Whoa, Conservation Chair Linda Hodges. Yeah. At present, I'm the acting field trip coordinator. If you are like, boy, I really would like to bird with other people, you come talk to me and I will put that on our website and everyone will have a great time. Otherwise, I'm going to come pester you and ask you to do it anyway. Education and hospitality chair. Thank you for the snacks. Devin Dowd. Membership chair, Clark Jones. I got excited. Programs chair, Paula Wegert. And you probably know this, Tally Kerr has been such an amazing programs chair prior to Paula that she booked out like the whole 2025 of programs, including our next month's program, which is really, really cool. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then coming up soon, Christmas bird count coordinator, Tyler Stewart. Get a little hoo-hoo if you saw or heard sandhill cranes in the past couple weeks. Y'all are being modest, but I did see a lot of hands. Keep your ears out. They're still migrating. So the rare bird summary, it's not exciting. All these birds pretty much are just, they're normal birds here. They're just like rare because they're late. Like big whoop, there's a house wren. I did put in bold like 2 inches. I think last Wednesday, maybe last Tuesday at Clear Spring Ranch, that was caught in the nets. Not Dr. Claire Ramos's banding station, but is it Stephen Brown? Is that his name? Yeah. He has a banding station like on the north end. I've never seen it, but he had it in the nets. That's pretty cool. And then this morning in Fountain Creek Regional Park at the Willow Springs Ponds, Brandon Percival had a northern parula. And then he was later talking on Facebook about how usually October to November is when the really interesting warblers migrate in this area in the fall. So hopefully this parula, A, sticks around, we all get to see it, and B, other cool things are on the way as well. Other announcements of field trips and such coming up. So we've got 3 field trips via Denver field ornithologists. I'm on one of them. I'm on the November 3rd. I think, Park County. You would have to, the information is on the Aiken website, but you would have to click through that link to register for the trip on the Denver Field Ornithologist website. It's a little like weird if you've never ever done it before, but after your first time, you're golden. It's really easy to start signing up for all of their programs. But some of their programs, 2 of them are coming to Park County, and it's just as long of a drive for us if not shorter than for the Denver people. And then one of them is going to Pueblo coming up. Other interesting things. This birding by bike with Tosk, we set that up yesterday. You will not find it on our website yet, but it is real. It's not spam if you do find it on a website that's not ours. Oh, amazing. So you know about it too? Okay. Okay. Linda told me about it today and she was like, have you heard about this? I was like, yes, it's real. On that note, I'm looking for someone who is comfortable on a bicycle and B, comfortable helping to identify birds. So if you like to bird and bike, please talk to me because we are still looking for like an Aiken representative to even join that. No. Perfect. We've got a leader. Thank you. We'll talk afterward. Okay. Alan is going to do the directions. So that part's fine. Friendly people, anybody who wants to look at birds and also be on bikes together, they're going to be cool people. It's fine. I do think it's BYOB. I do think you have to bring your own bike. Let's see, birding by book. The Wise Hours is coming up on October 27th. You would just email birdingbybook@gmail.com. Is that it? Callie, is that it? Yes, she says. This is being recorded, by the way. And then new field trip leader, Pat Paternostro, really great birder. We've had him on a few of the seasonal bird counts at Fountain Creek Nature Center. He's kind of new to the area from California, but he's great to bird with. He's leading a trip at Sand Creek. Again, details on the website. There's no RSVP. Just show up, have a good time. Birds and Brews is full for November, but there's no harm in getting on the wait list if you like. And then our monthly meeting in November is Mary Moscow. Moscow? Rosemary, sorry. Y'all know this person? Okay, great. I think that Rosemary is like a celebrity in the bird world. Like, I think this is really cool. I can't go online like Facebook and doom scroll without seeing her bird and moon comics. They're all really cute, really funny. Like it's our style of humor. But join Rosemary Moscow, author of the new book, The Birding Dictionary, for an entertaining and enlightening look into birding terminology. So again, it's birding terminology, but it's like our style of it, right? Rosemary is an author, illustrator, and speaker whose work connects people to their natural world. She's written and drawn for the New York Times, Audubon, Rewiring America, PBS Kids Show, Eleanor Wonders Why, Ranger Rick.
Well, that's
They still got Ranger Rick? Awesome. And
I'd hate to pass that up just to have dinner at the Broadmoor.
Get out of town.
That's the 19th.
Yeah, so continue. You can read her bio on our website. But again, this is next month. This is definitely one of our monthly meetings that I recommend. She'll be joining us via Zoom, but whether you're here in person with all of us enjoying her program or at home on the couch, try not to miss it. I think that's a really good one. Ooh, Tally says one of her children's books is a selection for the All Pikes Peak Reads with Pikes Peak Library District. Woo-hoo. Thank you. Oh God.
Jessica Miller.
So we're gonna get into it. Jessica, can you please? Oh, okay. Sorry. I think I have the ability to mute that.
The information on the biking is also on the spots.
Wow.
She's the
Yeah.
Sunday, October 26th. So she's then home. It's all
Smart doing it.
and beer.
Two of these.
And miles like that.
Yeah.
We would know how to ask them.
Okay, we are unmuted. We're on the right screen. Fantastic. One of you accidentally saw that there is 124 slides. I'm gonna go at really fast pace. Don't blink, everybody, and this is being recorded. So we're gonna get through this together. Okay, so I did the trip because for the first place, it was just the spring break week around here. And so I had the week off from work if I wanted it. And that's why I chose, this was the last week of March. So I went first, the last week of March in 2024. I was just going to go because it was a region I haven't been to before. I had the time, I had the PTO, and then I just kind of thought, oh, but wouldn't it be cute if I like birded all the counties around the bay? If you're into coloring, this is a fun way to plan your birding trip. So if you go on to eBird, if you're an eBird user, you go to My eBird, you click on your name, it gives you a map. And the map can be as small as one county, it can be as big as the whole world. And then it will color in based on how many birds you've seen in that little regions. And it can be very inspiring, like addicting to color things. And so I went and I was like, all right, here are all the counties that touch the San Francisco Bay. Those are the counties I'm going to go try to bird in. Spoiler alert, because I only took this screenshot a couple days ago, I did it. So the next thing I do when I'm planning a trip, I've identified like the counties I'm either A, going to be in, or, you know, I want to go to. And like, you can use this feature if you're going to go visit your brother-in-law or something, and you've got one morning to go birding, you can go on eBird and go to the Explore tab and kind of see, all right, well, in this county, the number one hotspot, the birding place to visit in terms of species is, you know, here it is. So for El Paso County, it would be Chico Basin Ranch. So I kind of go through county by county and I jot down to myself, what are my like top 3 or so hotspots? Like if I've only got 1 or 2 days in each county, maybe we'll say, what's like the best bang for my birding buck? Another way that I do it, another way that I do it is I'll, again, eBird, I look at a map of the hotspots of the region, and they're color coded in terms of like how good they are. So like this little hot red spot down here, I would be willing to bet that that's Rodeo Lagoon. I ended up going to that hotspot. This dark orange right here is the Las Gallinas Valley Sanitary District. Well, you got to go to the water sanitary. Like that's the good birding right there. And so like I ended up going there as well. But this helps me determine, okay, maybe this is a county, but this hotspot is like bonkers over there. And maybe like in terms of driving and fitting multiple locations into one day, like at a certain point, even though maybe this is like the number one hotspot, maybe I don't have time or like to drive all the way out there. So this is how I kind of get a sense of where things are, what is possible. And then if you're a big nerd, you can make an Excel spreadsheet. And so like, here's all the counties I knew I was going to go to. Here are the hotspots I really wanted to go to based on like what had the most species. And you see that some of them I didn't highlight, I didn't fit it in. One of the stupider things I saw on this Excel spreadsheet that I made for myself is I only gave myself 1 hour at this state park. That's ridiculous. And then something else to consider that I realized when I looked at my spreadsheet from March or whatever, 2024, and looking back on it today, knowing what I know now, is I was going by, imagine you had 1 day to bird in El Paso County and you went to Clear Spring Ranch, Fountain Creek Nature Center, and Chico Basin Ranch. And then you got mad that you never saw a Steller's jay. that's the wrong habitat. Like so even though like our mountain habitats might not be the hot spots, it offers diversity. So I was doing it a little wrong where I was focusing on numbers where those numbers are built by like shorebirds and waterfowl, but not necessarily diversity. And so like once I got on the ground, half of this right here just went to the wayside. All right, I need to start flying. So day one, I land, I immediately drive straight down to Wilder Ranch State Park. I go up to Ano Nuevo State Park, and then I go up to my Airbnb. So I like hit the ground going. Like when I was getting out of my car at Wilder Ranch and someone was like, oh, what you been seeing? And I was like, I've been here for 2 hours, like in this state. Like, I don't know. I've never been here before. I just looked so professional. Let me try to hide this bar up here. Anybody know how to like quickly do that? Where'd my presentation go? I gotta shit. Okay, well, we did that. That's good. Oh, okay. I don't know what I did. When I got to Wilder Ranch State Park, I pretty immediately, like I didn't even have my binoculars on all the way, and I could hear California quail. So that was like my very first bird. There was a covey of quail on the railroad tracks right next to the parking lot. These are kind of everywhere there. In the same general area, there's California towhee, boom, live bird, California thrasher, live bird. Here's that golden crown sparrow that I mentioned was a rarity here in Clear Spring Ranch. It seems like we've gotten one a year in the past few years here in El Paso County. This is like the West Coast version of the white crown sparrow. They do get both sparrows, but I saw these just about everywhere that I was. I was going in March, and so the time of year there was winter going into spring migration. When Bruce and I went just a few weeks ago or a month ago over Labor Day weekend, we did not see one single golden crown sparrow, but white crown sparrows were all over the place. So we did end up kind of hitting, but I at least went and hit both times of year. By the way, on my way to San Francisco, I don't know, somebody on the Aiken board was like, don't forget our board meeting on such and such night. And I said, oh, sorry, I'm going birding in California that day. And Tally very quickly said, would you give a presentation in October of 2025? And this would have been like March of 2024. So like, that's how hard Tally is rocking. And so like, because going into the trip, I knew that what I had signed up for, I was trying to take more pictures than I normally do. Continuing my hike through Wilder Ranch State Park. This not great photo is a surprisingly on average good photo of a wren tit. So take a bush tit, expand it to sparrow sized, and then just make it really skulky and quick and hidey. I can't believe I got a photo of that thing. California scrub jay. As you go through the dunes and agricultural area, you come out to these cliffs that go out over a beach. So I've kind of forgotten half of the things I learned over there, but looking down onto the beach, there's California gulls, Herman's gulls, and maybe that, yeah, I was going to say maybe that big dark one is a Western gull. I knew John Drummond would be here to help me if I needed it. I was like, somebody's going to help me when I forget these bird IDs. So here's the trails are this high up over the ocean. And these waves were crashing up that high. I did get wet at one point. This is a cormorant. I forget now if it's pelagic or brants. Thank you. I remember that they had the little white spot on their hiney. I just couldn't remember which one was which. This thing floating in the ocean. Sea otter. Been in California for all of 3 hours at this point, and there's a sea otter. And I was like, I thought these things were like endangered or something, and I get to see one. That's awesome. Another ubiquitous, if you were on a beach and you would see them, there were surf scoters. Just ducks down, and whenever we've seen surf scoters, well, they're like lost in Big Johnson or Pueblo Reservoir, but they're actually like in the surf. They love it there. It's very cute. They're just like got their faces down in the sand. So, you know, this hiking trail, it's going along these cliffs, and I'm looking down, I see this beach, and I'm like, oh, sweet, this beach is loaded with logs and rocks. If I were a turnstone, a black turnstone was a goal bird of mine. I was like, I would be down there. And I'm getting closer and I'm like, those are not logs. They're harbor seals. So tons of harbor seals down there. There were different tide pools caught in the rocks, and I had a black oyster catcher, snowy egrets. Heading up to Año Nuevo, there should have the little squiggle. It's Año Nuevo State Park. I'm getting there pretty late into the evening. You'll see that a lot of these pictures are really dark, but beautiful, very similar habitat, smaller, but super beautiful. There was an elephant seal on the beach. And I wish I had have later gone to lay down next to this stick. I would guess that this elephant seal was like 8 feet long. At one point, it did kind of flop itself out into the surf. And when you see them out in the surf, especially this the really big, are they called bulls? Like the males, they're huge. They give you this feeling of alligators or crocodiles looking at you. They spooked me. I knew they weren't gonna come get me, but just it's one of those animals you instinctively know, keep clearance of this thing. If it wanted to kill me, I think it could. It would vocalize some. And then there was also a sea lion out in the surf. Again, I'm really late. Kind of off and on sprinkling. At one point I text Bruce, he's not with me on this first trip, and I'm like, yeah, it's raining a lot, it's really foggy. And he was like, Jess, it's the California coast. Did you not know that's what it's like? I really didn't think about it. But hey, I got a rainbow. And then by being there late, I did from the parking lot hear an owl hooting, and I kind of followed it. And if you see the owl nest off into the woods, Cooper's hawk. So day 2, I am leaving Airbnb in Half Moon Bay, and I'm going up over to the Baylands Nature Area, Coyote Hills Regional Park. Between rain and running into, I don't know where I am, and I've never birded here before, I just kind of called it quits after I was done at Coyote Hills. By the way, if you do a trip to this area, try to go over this bridge from Oakland to San Francisco as little as possible. It was really lame. Not a fan of all that traffic. My Airbnb was a block away from the beach. So that first morning, I just kind of spent a long while walking on this great path that's on the beach, kind of looking out. There's surf scoters and common loons out in the surf. Anywhere that there is water, there was a black phoebe. And I've kind of noticed that whenever a black phoebe ends up in El Paso County, it'll be at a pond or a creek somewhere. They seem to really like water. And they like exposed wires on beaches. So then I go down to Pilar Point Harbor. Bruce and I will end up going here together to get on our pelagic boat trip on the next trip. Willet, gull, lots of gulls, grebes, western and Clarks, and loons. And the reason why I'm spending so much time in this harbor is because on eBird, there was a report of a surf bird and a black turnstone. Both would still be life birds. So I'm scouring this place. And finally, I'm about to call it quits because I don't see these things. And finally, there's I see another little dock area way down yonder, and I walk all the way around to it. I found them. So both of them are hanging out. Turnstone on the left and a surf bird on the right. And then this kingfisher, I wish I had looked at my trip report one more time, but this might have been the only belted kingfisher I saw in the whole trip, which is really weird. This sign about the warning, it is referring to the jetties that are out in the harbor. There's loads and loads of cormorants and pelicans and terns and egrets. Tons of birds are out perched on those jetties, resting and feeding. If there was oxygen in the air, there was an Anna's hummingbird. At any given point, you could hear one, see one, it's nearby. Lesser scaup, and then a male cisco. Think about these in Colorado. Good looking bird. So this cemetery was not on my to-do list, but again, any good birder knows you got to go check out the cemetery. There's some good birds, nice and quiet. And I glad I stopped here because look, like I'm kind of looking down over the Pacific and Half Moon Bay is down there, but I'm high enough now. I've got pine habitat. This is a fantastic shot of a Townsend warbler in its habitat. And like a red-breasted nuthatch. There were Steller's jays up there. So I'm glad that I stopped here. I wasn't here for long, but I got some species that I don't know if I would have gotten anywhere else on my trip. Heading over, I'm now on the bay itself. This is Baylands Nature Preserve. Shout out Ken, who told me to go here. It is like a major birding hotspot, and it's very easy to get to if you're in that region. Cooper's hawk was there to greet me as I entered. Lots of avocets and stilts. And then this marbled godwit is what I like the idea that there was like some worm or something down so deep in the mud that he had to like go down another inch with his face just in the mud. Great images, like great views of lots of avocets and stilts. Another bird that seemed to be kind of everywhere, and I found this again when Bruce went back with me, is Buick's wren. They were very vocal and just kind of bopping around everywhere. Ruddy duck. So Baylands Nature Preserve is great for lots and lots of things. However, there's a lot of water, so it's particularly good for the waterfowl and the shorebirds. So at the very back section of it, the east side, there is this long pier and it starts to go into the bay, and maybe another 100, 150 yards out, maybe more than that. There are all these shorebirds, like all these dots, and some of them are bigger. That might be a godwit. I remember there were some plovers tucked in there, like black-bellied plovers. There were some dowitchers tucked in there. But this right here, that image on the right, if you can imagine that going as far as you can see to that horizon line and as far as you can see to that horizon line, like I don't think it would have been an overestimate to say there were millions of shorebirds out there as far as the eye could see. There was this one strip of mud and water that was the right depth, that they were everywhere. So heading across the bay now, we're on the east side of the bay, Coyote Hills Regional Park. Lots of turkeys hanging out there, black phoebe again, and then Say's phoebe. So this is kind of duny, hilly scrub, but then there are wetlands and ponds. So good diversity. Cinnamon, teal. Over at the visitor center, there was a pond where there was bufflehead, redhead, another bufflehead, and then this is a Eurasian widgeon. And I think that on eBird I had seen it was around there somewhere, but you still had to play, you can tell in this photo, it's very far away. You still had to play Where's Waldo in this thick wetland with lots of green-winged teal, blue-winged teal, and American widgeon. So really racking up. I think this is a new county. We're on the other side of the bay now, but racking up a lot of species, water birds particularly. There is a pollinator garden at their visitor center. It was not blooming really a lot yet. It wasn't quite time, but this hummingbird is patiently waiting. These turkeys are kind of like turkeys mountain where they don't have a care in the world, apparently. Great horned owls, again, were hooting off in the distance because it's so overcast and it's the right time of year that they seem to be very vocal on this trip. This beautiful photo is, I think it was white-winged kite. I'm sorry, white-tailed kite. White-tailed kite flew over me. I have that moment of aha. I go to get my camera because this is going to be the only one I see ever in my life, right? And I'm like, well, this picture is going to have to do for my presentation. But there it is. Wow, that's how birding goes sometimes. And so, like I said, when I left that Coyote Hills Regional Park, I saw on eBird that there was an acorn woodpecker at this, like, I think it was like a living history site or some kind of park that wasn't too far away. And I go and Google doesn't know where I'm going. And I get there and it's closed. And so I'm kind of doing that clueless birder thing where I just don't know where to go. And then there's traffic and I'm getting sick of things. So I called it a day pretty much after that. So this next day I'm staying in a different Airbnb up on the north side of San Francisco. And first I head up over the Golden Gate to Rodeo Lagoon and Point Bonita Lighthouse. I go up to the sanitary district, and then I could go to the water recycling facility, all the best places. And then I kind of hit this small little park for a special bird on the way back. So obviously, you know, you got to get this picture when you go there. But Rodeo Lagoon, redneck grebe, cormorants, great blue herons, lots of little birds. There was a mangy coyote. It was not responding to me when I whistled for it. But good, like a nice lagoon on the beach itself. And then there's those kind of duney, oaky hills all around. So good diversity of birds. Walking up to the lighthouse, I hit this, it's like an old, I don't know what it was, a historical site, lots of like old buildings, graffiti everywhere, but I was like the only one birding. And it was really quiet, nice mixed flock. I got a better picture of a Townsend warbler. Orange crown warbler, quail are everywhere, so are Anna's hummingbirds. Going to the lighthouse itself, you go through trees. There was a park ranger leading a field trip of really noisy kids. And so I was hoofing it, trying to stay away from them. I think the park ranger felt bad for me. But I remember on the hike up there, there was a pocket of brown creepers and golden crown kinglets. So getting a good diversity there. You can walk all the way out here. Seals, if there was a rock in the ocean, there was a seal on that rock. Heading up to the sanitation district. On Google Maps, it says like the sanitation birding trail. Like it very specifically said, like, yeah, which is great. It tells me that I am welcome there and I'm not going to be like weird to show up. So I appreciate that. But you park your car and you can walk all around these ponds. And I was immediately greeted by like a really good view of more white-tailed kites. There were 2 white-tailed kites and they were taking turns bringing nesting material into this island of whatever kind of tree that is. So they were nesting in there somewhere. So I was getting great looks of them, cackling geese out in the field. Again, we're at water, so there are black phoebes. Buick's wrens were coming and grabbing fluff from the cattails, I assume to build a nest in the cattails. Did I say? Yeah, thank you. I was like, did I say Buick's wren again? It was marsh wren. Snowy egrets, different kinds of ducks, common. This might have been my only common merganser of the trip, bufflehead. I tried very, very hard to turn every single red-winged blackbird into a tricolored blackbird, and I simply cannot tell you the difference between those birds. But based on where I am, like I don't think that's what this was. But hey, there's red-winged blackbirds everywhere. Common gallinule, nice. We don't really typically see them in Colorado. Black-necked stilts are frequent. So at some point in this area, I am admiring this western bluebird. There's a couple of ducks in the holding the wetland cell to my right. And I'm taking this picture and I hear this huge splash, like too big for the duck to have made. And I turn and an otter surfaces with one of those ducks. So this is a river otter. And like, there it is with a mallard in its mouth. I thought that was pretty metal. I think this is cool. Otters got to eat too. At least it wasn't a cinnamon teal or, it's just I feel like we're a bad Audubon society if we say that though. Justice for the mallard. So I head to the next site. This is another water recycling facility and my camera batteries are dead. So I have very little photos, but I took this with my cell phone and this is a red-shouldered hawk trespassing and loitering. So again, I don't have any more pictures from the site, but I enter and there's walking trails. It's really cool. There's like mute swans in here. I take this picture of the hawk right here, and then I start walking on this trail. There's a couple of inches of water, but I'm not too worried about that. My shoes are like kind of water resistant. I step off. I'm like, I'm just going to walk through the grass on the side of the trail. That's not leave no trace principles, but shh. And the water is never getting shallower. And my feet just continue I feel the water is seeping into my shoes. And then I turn back and well, if I go back, I'm just going to continue to get wet, but then I'm not going to get where I wanted to go. And so I just kept with it. And by the time I got over here, my feet were totally, like my shoes were done. Whatever. I'm like the rest of the way, but having a good time. There's like different grebes and there's black crowned night herons I remember in here. And I'm enjoying lots of wetland birds. There's a tree line right in here. And I'm probably about right here. And I hear this like, it's a bittern. And this is a bird that I've accepted I'm never going to see. And so I put it on my list. I could hear it repetitively. It was somewhere, it must have been in this wetland over here somewhere. And at a certain point, I'm kind of dipping into the forest again. I'm trying to see can I pop out and look for the bittern, and I accidentally spook a barn owl. And so I was forced into that beautiful moment where you're just looking at the bird and you're not thinking about, let me take a picture of this. Let me just enjoy this moment. So me and this barn owl, I enjoyed it more than him. But I thought that was pretty cool. So on the way back, I'm like, well, I need new shoes. My shoes are truly, there's no drying them off. I stop at this REI co-op, no shoes in my size that are appropriate. And I'm standing really mad out here. And I look across the highway and there's an Allbirds store and I can see the sign and I'm like, I think that's a shoe store and it's called Birds. So that's probably a good sign. I was the easiest, quickest sell that those people, I'm wearing the shoes now. They're a favorite pair of shoes. Anyways, that's how I got my Allbirds shoes. And then my old shoes are in a dumpster over here somewhere. I know, I saw that. Apparently the Allbirds is closed. So before I went and got my new shoes, I stopped at this park. You can tell, again, camera dead, no pictures, but you can see on the map that this place is small. And this light blue dot, this is a screenshot from eBird. It kind of tells you that it's not a great birding hotspot, not lots of species, but I specifically went here for band-tailed pigeon. And I did find them right at the trailhead. So I got Nuttall's woodpecker, which is another lifer, and band-tailed pigeon. Consolation prize for the shoes. Next day, I'm headed out and I go to Miller Knox Regional Shoreline, American Canyon Wetlands. I stopped at this recreation area. My original game plan was to go way farther out east, a long ways drive, because it was the closest thing that might have given me yellow-billed magpie, which I really wanted to see. But when it got down to it, I was like, that's too far for me to drive. The weather is bleh. So I just gave up on that and went somewhere a little closer. And then I went to Tilden Nature Area again on a whim on my way back, because on eBird it said that there were acorn woodpeckers there. So I needed a consolation from when I missed them the previous couple of days. Miller Knox Regional Shoreline, they have these little picnic areas now, maybe for birds. The canvasback, the marsh hawk. I came to this park specifically because Nuttall's woodpeckers had been reported there, and also Allen's hummingbird, which was a lifer. How do I know this isn't a Rufus hummingbird? Everybody else on eBird said this was an Allen's. So I just kind of went with that. I think I'm kind of kidding. I was using Merlin sound too, and it was telling me Allen's. Bluebirds very frequently. This park is on the bay, but then it also has a pond. And so this little nice paved walking trail is going around that pond. So lots of shrubs and such. Here's a fox sparrow. This might have been the first bird I saw when I parked my car. I think I was still in my car when I saw it. Widgeon. I don't know, Western sandpiper? Some kind of sandpiper. Thank you, Tally. Message received. I shan't peek around the laptop. Nuttall's woodpecker finally got a good photo. Another Eurasian widgeon. I don't know if I knew that was going to be there, but there it was. Those are this guy's in the pond, but looking over into the bay, there was a greater scop, eared grebe. Okay, no comments. Great, I ID'd it correctly. Heading over into American Canyon Wetlands. 66 species. This was my best checklist of the whole trip. That's a really good checklist, no matter when and where you're birding. But as you enter the place to park, the neighborhood it's got all these cute names. Gadwall Street, Ringneck Street. I appreciated that. I've been holding on to this screenshot for 18 months for y'all. Again, really well packed trails. You've got wetland cells inside. You've got the bay on the other. I don't know what the tidal system does on the West Coast. I know it's not as intense as on the East Coast, but it felt like I was always at whatever coast at a spectacular time for shorebirds. I think I had 1,000+ avocets on this checklist. I think that might have been my #1 species for the trip was American avocets, actually. But tons of them out there, swimming, foraging, wading, everything. Most shorebirds you can think of. Dunlin with the little drooped black beak over here in the top right. These 3 birds, I think that's the curlew. So the curlew, the avocet, and a marbled godwit. I was trying my best. I was looking through these photos last week and I was like, why do I have 100 photos of these 3 bird butts? And I was trying to get all 3 of them with their heads up in the same picture with their really cool beaks, but I was not successful. Again, turns out the white-tailed kites they are nesting in the last week of March. Anytime I found one, I actually found 2, and they were bringing nesting material. So there was a pair. I think I had like 4 or 6. I want to say that this was a good spot for the white-tailed kites. I had quite a few of them at this location. In the wetland, black-crowned night heron, Nuttall's woodpecker again. Heading over to this Benicia State Recreation Area. This was kind of a womp womp. I'm not going to go see yellow-billed magpies. Nothing too special. I just kind of tootled around this botanical garden, which again, we're in late March. Spring hasn't really sprung quite yet. So it's kind of a womp womp botanical garden. But I mean, I still got northern mockingbird. There was a big flock of cedar waxwings there, kind of eating the buds that were growing in. So Tilden Nature Area, I do wish that I had have budgeted more time for this location. I'm here at the end of the day again. It's my last stop. I really enjoyed this part. Really beautiful trails, really quiet. I was hearing good birds the whole time. I remember when I was taking this picture of the rainbow, there were great horned owls hooting a couple different places. Just really pretty area. Oak, the terrible picture, but oak looks like our juniper titmouse. You've seen one titmouse, you've seen them all, it's fine. But oak titmouse, brown creeper. Do y'all recognize this bird? I know half of y'all do, you're just being humble. A varied thrush. It's a bad photo, so I'll give you that. But varied thrush, kind of like a robin, but if the photo's better, you can kind of see that there's the orange and kind of that deep, deep black blue. I was pretty proud of this bird. It was the one and only one that I saw. I don't think it was on my bird bingo card for this trip. So I was very excited. I have lots and lots of really blurry dark photos if you'd like to see them. I did get the acorn woodpecker at this site. And then I surprised got a band-tailed pigeon as I'm like packing up my car to leave. There was this big fat bird on a tree in the distance and got it in my scope, band-tailed pigeon. Coming back away from the Tilden Nature Area, I'm heading back toward the bay. I'm like seeing people pull over on the side of the road and I'm seeing all these pull-offs and I'm wondering what that's about. And it's for this view. It's a great view over the bay. It's far off, but right below my blue dot and arrow is the Golden Gate Bridge. And then, hey, sun sets in the west. That's cool. Forgot about that. But great view coming out of there. Day 5, this is my day where I'm leaving. So I'm playing it by ear. I'm kind of looking on the rare bird report. First, I go to Lake Merced because eBird said there was a northern parula. Man, this is funny because today I heard there was a northern parula and I couldn't find it. But then I go to Ocean Beach. I had heard about some cool bird that was out in the ocean. Golden Gate Park, Blue Heron Lake and Strawberry Hill. I had heard there was the red-breasted sapsucker. I hadn't seen that bird. I wanted to see it. I'm going to see it not in Colorado. So this was kind of my attempt at a cleanup day. And then Buena Vista Park on the main peninsula as well. I think I was chasing what are they called? Some kind of parakeet. Well, I didn't see it, so it doesn't really matter. And and then I got to head out. I did really enjoy Lake Merced. Purple finches. Another good picture of a Townsend's warbler. This is that chestnut-backed chickadee. It's like the only chickadee there, but you can see that brownish back. Ugly photo of a yellow rumped warbler. And I'm just like stewing. I'm like, you're telling me I'm seeing all these yellow rump warblers and there's no northern parula here? I was like kind of mad. Hermit thrush. So I'm still having a good time. And then do you see the bird in this picture? I sure don't. There is like something black right here. Again, when I was looking through these photos, I was like, why do I have 50 photos of the ocean? And I do remember when I was there, I set up my scope. There were a couple other birders looking out over the ocean, and they got me on some kind of murrelet, a marbled murrelet. I can't remember what it was at this point. And in my scope, I saw it, but I could never find it with my camera. And so I was just taking random photos of the ocean. I was like, I'll zoom in and find it later. It's fine. No. Whatever this is, it's something else, maybe a cormorant. And then I think one of these scoters is a black scoter. It was like a really good birder, like a local San Francisco birder. I wish I had gotten their name, but he like was pointing these things out, and I'm like, uh-huh, thank you. Yeah, cool. Golden Gate Park, really pretty park. I would go there again. We're kind of later in the day, so it's getting kind of crowded. I heard somebody pass gas on the trail. That was fun. There's a little couple of bridges that go over into this big hilly area, and this is the park that I was scouring for that red-breasted sapsucker, and I just never got it. So like, we're not having the best of days here. Um, then like not too far away is that Buena Vista State Park, and whatever that little parakeet is, there are certain pockets of the US that there's tons and tons of escapee exotics that have naturalized to the area. It was some kind of parakeet thing that I was looking for. And what's interesting, I didn't take any photos because I didn't see anything cool there, but I take that back. I remember there were creepers and golden crowned kinglets and Steller's jays, but look at like, this is a cool small-ish park, and it's a big hill in the middle of all this like urban sprawl. And I didn't realize it was like this until I saw it on the map. That's my eBird route that I took. But it's really cool that Steller's jays are there in this random hill yeah. I would go there again. So all in all, in that first trip, the 5 days, 144 species, 14 of those were lifers for me. I hit all the 10 counties that ring that San Francisco Bay. Probably drove about 440 miles, and then I spent about $2,000, give or take. When you think about like the rental car, the Airbnbs, the flights, that stuff adds up. So here are the birds that I missed, and why are you laughing? Like, I gotta go back now. And then plus Bruce has really gotten into photography. Mitrid parakeet. I don't, that's not ringing a bell.
No,
Anyway, notice how the parakeet's not on this. I can leave the parakeet, but hermit warbler, I want to say hermit warbler, eBird had flags for it, and like I just never found one. Yellow-billed magpie, I just wasn't in the right habitat for it, honestly. The tricolored blackbird, I wonder if I put a normal red-winged blackbird, if any of you would know the difference. Wandering tattler, elegant tern, mountain quail. That's a good looking quail, ain't it? And then that red-breasted sapsucker. So I missed these, and I was like, well, I gotta go back. Plus, like, now that I had signed up for this presentation tonight, like, I don't know, a good like coastal California, I can't talk about that trip, but then like not go on a pelagic trip and then miss out on a few other quintessential, like California condor. Come on. So I thought I would go back and make this tonight a little bit more robust. I wanted to keep you until like 9. We'll see. So this time I take Bruce, because in the year between my first trip and a few weeks ago, and we went again, Bruce has gotten like really into photography, and he's actually really good at it. His artwork is on display at Fountain Creek Nature Center for the month of October. So anyway, I was like, Bruce, you, Tally, we appreciate you. So I take Bruce with me because he's hearing about this. And, sometimes I go on these solo birding trips, and he kind of like humbly is like, might I go on these with you? Could I come? I know you need your girl time, but so we planned this trip together. We used a companion ticket, didn't we? Boom, big money saver right there. And what we did was we flew out of Colorado Springs after work. So that saves a PTO day for you workers. We connected from the Springs through Salt Lake City, and we got into San Francisco Airport at like 11 p.m. that Wednesday night. Kind of lame. No traffic at 11 p.m. That's great. But anyway, that way, Thursday morning, we were up before sunrise, and we were ready to bird. I'm telling Bruce about like Wilder Ranch State Park and Año Nuevo State Park. I'm like, Bruce, these were fantastic places. I really want to go back. The first day, we'll head down there. By the way, for this particular trip, I did not make that full Excel spreadsheet that I really like. we agreed that, yes, there are certain birds we know we want to see. We know we're going to go on a pelagic trip. We had that booked. So Friday, the day after this right here, is when we're going on our pelagic trip, because all the life birds at this point are like big gray birds in the ocean. And I need a professional to tell me what they are and take me out there. We knew that was going to be Friday. We knew that Sunday was going to be our Pinnacles National Park Day. We wanted to see California condors. Pinnacles was the place to do it. And then we knew Tuesday we were flying out. I had some ideas of where I would really like to visit again, but other than that, I didn't make a surefire spreadsheet. We were just going to check eBird continuously, see what was nearby. So on this day, we're heading down to Año Nuevo. We stop at just like a beach, pull out halfway down there and just start practicing our birds. We do go to Año Nuevo. We spend like 4 hours at this park. This is that park that I saw the big elephant seal on the beach. Great birding, lots to see, went on a lot of trails, and we just ran out of time. And I was like, you know what? We're going to have to skip Wilder Ranch State Park. Honestly, same habitat, probably would see all the same bird species again. We just got to cut it. After lunch, we ended up birding a trailer park. You'll see the photos. It's not what you're thinking. I would move there in a heartbeat. And then on the way back, we stop at just a marsh trail off the highway. So we stop at this San Gregorino State Beach. We're just kind of doing some practice for the gulls. So there's 3 main gulls that we see mostly. Most of these gulls in this picture are California gulls, which we are familiar with here. Then there are the dark ones, the Herman's gulls. And then there's a few in this photo that are a little bit bigger and a little bit darker. Those are the Western gulls, right? Great. Brown pelicans, few ducks down here. Common yellowthroats are calling from in here. Buick's wren, just kind of pulled over right off the side of the highway. Common loon. Yeah, San Gregorino State Beach. It is a pipsqueak of a beach. Lot of structures built with driftwood. I don't recommend it. It was just an easy place to practice a few birds while we were waiting on the state park down the road to open. So Año Nuevo State Park, we're hiking a lot farther. Tons and tons of seals this time. Elephant seals, harbor seals, a few sea lions as well. We got there like 10 minutes technically before they opened. We didn't realize that they were like opened at 8:30. We got there like 8:20. And this is the really nice ranger telling us that he didn't set up his register yet, so we can be in for free. And I was like, aw, he's giving Bruce all the instructions. He's like, you're going to have a great time here today. All the volunteers were like really passionate and really kind. It was cute. So at this point, Bruce is with me. If you see a photo that you're like, ooh, wow, Bruce took that photo. If it's a picture of Bruce's backside, I took that photo. So here's that wren tit again. Again, it's like a big bush tit, but kind of skulky and hungover. I don't know. Again, we're at water. There are always black phoebes. Through the dune system, chestnut-backed chickadees, common yellowthroat. I thought it was really interesting. Again, I mentioned earlier that we didn't see any golden-crowned sparrows on this trip, but we saw lots of white-crowned sparrows. And it was funny to see them hopping around in this dune system with foliage that's no taller than your knee. It reminded me of where they nest here in Colorado, which is like up above the tree line, where it's nothing but shrubs that are no taller than your knee. So it's, top of a mountain, beachfront. Hey, as long as the shrubs are low and thick, I guess they're happy. Lots of little areas to pop out from the dunes to see out over the ocean. A cacophony, moose. Cacophony of seals barking is constant in the background. White-tailed kites soaring around over this field. Brown pelicans everywhere. Semi-palmated plover, a couple of them. I think these were the only semi-palmated plovers we saw of the trip. Turkey vultures enjoying a seal who did not make it. Birds gotta eat. Otters gotta eat. Birds gotta eat. There's that island that this was just like jam-packed with seals over there, and cormorants and gulls. I mean, guano central, I bet, over there. I think these are like female or adolescent elephant seals. I think the voice you're kind of hearing in the background is one of the volunteers. This volunteer, he sees we got binoculars and the scope and all, and he's kind of chit-chatting with us, and he gives us, yeah, we're not getting that close. Where he's given us the lead on his wife volunteers at this other beach and does snowy plover counts. And so we got the lead on where to go another day to look for snowy plovers. Oh, okay. Still on the beach at Año Nuevo, marbled godwits, long-billed curlews, Herman's gull. Here's a sea otter. We saw so many sea otters on round 2 on this second trip. This gull is yelling at him. Eventually, he does get at least the carapace of whatever kind of crab this sea otter is working on. Ooh, in Santa Cruz, we found a West African-owned vegan restaurant. Now, don't think that we are taking a leisurely break, because you see on Bruce's phone, we are on eBird and we are plotting our next bird target. This is simply refueling the bird machine. So this is Natural Bridges State Park. Can't remember. On eBird, people had reported, I think, wandering tattler. I think that was the bird that we were going for. I took this picture and was like, I'll use Google Eraser to get this guy. I don't care. So we're walking through Natural Bridges, which is a smallish park, and the trail leads directly into this mobile home park. And is it like, I grew up in Georgia. When I think mobile home park, this isn't what I'm imagining, but do you see like this beautiful location? Over to my left off camera, there is like a clubhouse with a cocktail bar and a fire pit. Yeah, there's got this like great pond, like wetland. This is one of the mobile homes. This beautiful view over the ocean. You can't quite see it in the photo, but they had a few hummingbird feeders, and they had 4, 5, 6 Anna's hummingbirds kind of flying. And Bruce was like, I would take a photo of the hummingbirds, but it's like at their windows. So in that little wetland in the middle of the area, black-crowned night heron, out on the tidal rocks, snowy egret, tons of black turnstones. I remember I would count 14 and then I'd ask Bruce to count. He'd get 13 and then I'd count and get 15 and then it's so difficult to see them all, but there were a lot of them. You can kind of see their little black heads. If they sit still in these rocks, it's hard to spot them. We did not get the wandering tattler there. I wish I had remembered right before now, but there was this cool, as a mental image, down on the beach, there was a spotted sandpiper, and just a few feet away from it was a black phoebe. And they were both actively like hunting and hanging out. And it was just cool to see a flycatcher and a shorebird hunting in the same spot. This Rancho del Oso Marsh Trail, the nature center nearby was closed. This whole area apparently had a burn, a wildfire 5 or so-ish years ago. So not lots going on, but we did get Wilson's warbler. And then Bruce got his lifer California quail down this trail. So the next morning, we had booked with Alvaro's Adventures a month or 2 prior. And we decided, he had a few that you could choose from. So first of all, I just knew I want to do a pelagic trip. Pelagic means like out in the open ocean, by the way. In this area. So I Google San Francisco pelagic birding. There weren't that many options that pop up. Debbie Shearwater, have y'all seen The Big Year? Debbie Shearwater was a character in the book, and she's a real person, and she used to run Shearwater Adventures, I think it was called. Her website's still up, and you go to it, and she's retired 6 years ago. There weren't a lot of options, but this Alvaro's Adventures popped up. I went to a Facebook page called Birding Travel. If you are into birding travel and you're on Facebook, I highly recommend you go join this group. I just like to kind of get ideas from the group, but I searched the Facebook group Alvaro's Adventures. I wanted to make sure that this was like a real company and I wasn't going to get swindled and I would actually have a good time. And people had glowing reviews to say they loved it a lot. Have y'all seen Listers? Yes, the goofy, the YouTube full of the F word. Those guys, the trip that they go on, if you've seen their movie on YouTube, the pelagic trip they go on is with Alvaro. So we had booked this a while out. We meet at like 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. Tally, I'm glad you're here because the captain of our boat reminded me of you. The same like height and stature. And she was like so sweet and nice, but I also feel like she could have whooped me in a fight, like weirdly. And then she had this dog, which I feel like Tally would do if she captained a boat. But anyway, we're getting ready to go out on our pelagic. There's probably 30 or so people on the boat. Uh, I had also done a lot of research into getting motion sick. Not that I am prone to it, but I was reading and hearing that if you do get seasick on one of these pelagic trips, it ruins the trip for you. You cannot pay attention. You're not going to enjoy anything. And so I went to CVS and purchased 60 something dollars worth of stuff. Bruce and I were both wearing the C bands. It's like they put a pressure point on your wrist. I had taken, I forget what it's called now. It wasn't Dramamine. I was doing Bony. That's what I did. I was doing all this research of weighing the side effects of all these different motion sickness medications. We had ginger chews, and I think I did something else. I can't remember. We were like doing the special motion sickness diet of no alcohol and no fat within 24 hours. We were going all out. Nobody got seasick. I probably would have been fine, but still, I was glad to take that precaution. This is Alvaro, by the way, in the middle there. And there were probably 6 or 7 people on the boat. Like this guy, I forget all their names by now. Chris? He was the guy in the movie Listers that they referred to as like the clock guy. He would always be like, full of shearwater, 6 o'clock. And which I really found handy. Like he was very communicative. This guy in the middle, didn't catch his name either. He's probably on the shared checklist. We really liked him because he was focused. I don't think we ever caught him chit-chatting with other people. There would be side conversations with all these other like great birders and leaders, and he would be like, Pacific white-sided dolphins, 500 yards out, blah, blah, and we were like, man, these people are getting us on every bird in the ocean. So there was like a spectacular group of people on that boat. These pictures are probably taken 60 seconds apart. We're like barely out of this is the Pilar Point Harbor, by the way. There's whales, humpback whales going off over there. The dog came out to investigate, and I was like, oh, your cousin, the sea puppy, is out there. But I thought it was cute that the dog was interested in the whale. In this top left photo, you can maybe see there's like a black cloudiness over the water. These are all sooty shearwaters. I think on the final eBird checklist, there was like 22,000 shearwaters on our list. I don't know how they estimate that. I made Bruce take this picture because as you're leaving the harbor, you can like kind of see the Golden Gate Bridge. I thought that was pretty cool, kind of spooky. Again, we're like not even out of the harbor yet, but there were all the anchovies like flitting across the surface of the water. I think these are marbled murrelets. Are these common murrelets? Common mures. Thank you. Common mure. There's a lot of mures and murrelets. And we're talking about Alvaro was talking about a lot of the birds are here for these anchovies, and we were watching those little dark gray Herman's gulls skim real low and catch them. And at the start of this trip, Bruce and I are up at the front of the boat because we're those kinds of nerds. We're like, we got to be in the front. We got to see everything. But Alvaro is in the back. We should have caught on to that much quicker. That Alvaro and all the good birders were on the back side of the boat. And so he's on a microphone and he's talking about the human skulls. I was like, what is he talking about? Human skulls? And at that point, I was like, maybe I can go back to the back. I can't hear this guy. He's talking about human skulls catching the fish. So anyway, spectacular day. If there was no bird that one of these birders saw that I did not see, they got us on every single bird. And it's pretty wild that you're like in the middle of the ocean and you find this bird that's the size of a softball. That's kind of weird to me. Like, what are the chances? I don't think, like, birds are not real, right? So it's a Jaeger. Is it a Pomeranian or a parasitic? Oh, great. Parasitic Jaeger, and it's chasing that elegant tern. So this was, I don't know if I missed them my first trip, and I don't know if it's because they weren't there or I'm just an idiot. It might be the second. But we saw quite a few of them out in the harbor. I think this is a rhinoceros auklet, and this is the Cassin's auklet. Thank you. you got used to them saying rhino, rhino, for the auklet. So this is that Pacific white-sided dolphin. Is that what they're called? And there was a pod of like, hold on, don't look away. It's gonna happen. Whee! There was a pod of like hundreds. It got to the point when you see a flock of birds and you're like, oh, it's 100. And then somebody says, actually, that's 1,000. That's what it felt like. There were so many of them kind of going with the wake of our boat. We also saw a blue whale spout out way off in the distance. Did we see a fin whale? There was a fur seal out there. We saw some kind of shark. So it's not just the birds. It was a great trip. At one point, Bruce like whispers to me, he's like, I think they've got a trip tomorrow. Do you want to go? And I was like, I don't know. We're supposed to drive to Pinnacles tomorrow. I was like, I don't think we've got. And I was like, oh, wait. Tomorrow's trip is the Faleron Islands, and that one's full, I remember. So he did. Alvaro offers at least 3 different pelagic trips. One for the Falerons, taking off from San Francisco. One, this is called Pioneer Canyon. It's just that shelf, that continental shelf off of Half Moon Bay. And then he's got a trip that goes off a different direction from Monterey. And I chose this one for some reason. It was in the middle and I couldn't choose. I don't know. And I honestly, the other one, the Faleron trip, the Faleron Islands are wonderful. And I would have seen more birds, I think. But I didn't want to deal with like the actual San Francisco. These are birds. One of them is the Buller's shearwater. Is it that one? Okay. I just knew to take pictures. This was our black-footed albatross. Right? Black-footed? You had a look on your face. Huh? Black-footed. Okay. Anyway, we actually saw 2 black-footed albatrosses. When I think of albatross, I'm only thinking of like the Laysian, however you pronounce it, albatross. I didn't know they come in black. So that was pretty cool. These 2 are Guadalupe murrelets. Correct? Great. Is this the Cassin's murrelet? I keep looking at Bruce for his nods. Scripps, thank you. Wasn't there a Cassin's murrelet? That was just the auklet. Okay. That was a month and a half ago. I wasn't in charge of the eBird checklist. But this Guadalupe murrelet, they were talking about on our boat that this was like the 3rd time they had ever seen this species on this trip, that it was way farther north than it should have been. And they were kind of hinting at a different climate and increasing the chances of it being seen farther north than usual. Tyler Stewart, not the Aiken Tyler Stewart, the other Tyler Stewart, he went with Alvaro out of Monterey about a week later, and they also saw Guadalupe murrelet. We got my lifer red phalarope on this trip. Are these both red phalarope? They pointed to them and said red phalarope. Okay. We also saw a red-necked phalarope out there as well. One of these is I think this is this the pink-footed shearwater? And here's a bird. Is that the buller? The bullers? You didn't know this was going to be a test. Do you see what I mean? It's all gray birds out in the ocean. So like it's cool, but it's not like we're seeing beautiful warblers or something. So anyway, here's our next day. We did not go on another pelagic. We're heading out of Half Moon Bay. We visit the cemetery again. And we kind of ride this ridge line down. Somewhere about here is where I started time traveling. That's where I fall asleep and we wake up in the destination. It's cool. And then we end up birding at our Airbnb spot. So we stop at Francis Beach and Half Moon Bay State Park or State Beach because that one volunteer at Año Nuevo said his wife sees snowy plovers here all the time, 20 plus. And eventually, as we're walking down, there is a group of 14 or so kind of tucked in. Wherever there's been a footprint, there's a snowy plover. And they're all just tucked in there, real cute. So there was nesting signs for, stay out of these dunes. I guess the snowy plovers nest in here. And a hummingbird. We went to the cemetery, and our best bird there was a red crossbill. This one is yellow, but trust red crossbill. So good bird. We didn't see a single other one the whole rest of the trip. We would have missed it had we not gone to the cemetery. Stopping at El Corte de Madera Creek Open Space Park, beautiful redwood forest. We pass another guy who's got binoculars. Granted, he's with his kids who are hooting and hollering and yelling, but he sees us with our binoculars and he's like, pretty quiet out here today. Sorry, bud. We saw birds, not tons. We weren't here for very long, but we did see brown creeper. We had a little mixed flock of brown creepers and golden crown kinglet. And these were the only golden crown kinglets of this particular trip. So worth this. There seemed to be a trend. Of wherever we stopped, there was at least one bird that was new for the trip that made it feel like it was a worthwhile stop. So California quail. There's Bruce taking that beautiful photo of the California quail. There they are on the trail just up ahead. We stopped over on the side of the road. At this point, it's like middle of the day and it is hot. All the birds are hiding out real low. Had a hairy woodpecker there. That was about the only new thing. So Piscinas Ranch is where the Airbnb was. And it is Piscinas. I couldn't pronounce this until I saw that sign right there. Our Airbnb, imagine if Chico Basin Ranch operated an Airbnb and you could just go outside and hike whenever you wanted. We didn't see a single soul this whole time. We were here for 2 nights and you could just go out on the other side of the trees as the Airbnb, like the little, place to stay and sleep. And we could just walk for miles on these trails. There was right here on the trail, there's a wetland on either side. We had great egret and black crowned night heron fly over. We could hear Virginia rails and soras. Apparently, we later found out that the past summer, they had a flock of like 2,000 breeding tricolored blackbirds here, which is pretty major. Yeah. So really special, kind of like Chico Basin Ranch. This particular ranch, they operate in a way that is kind of simpatico with the natural habitat. They rotate their sheep and their cattle over the course of years to let that vegetation grow back. Can't quite see it, but over here in the distance, there is like many wineries and agricultural fields. And on the perimeter of them all were big nest boxes for barn owls and kestrels. So if you're going to be like an organic winery, you can't just be spraying pesticides. So you need to invite pest control naturally. And that was pretty cool. We found this owl because these acorn woodpeckers were losing their mind. So here's the owl way down in the bottom left of that right photo. There was a group of 3 or 4 acorn woodpeckers just mad. This poor owl. This is right outside of the door to our Airbnb. It's right there. So we go on this long walk in the evening. Here's Bruce's lifer, California towhee. Just the scenery. There's a deer out there in the rolling hills. Dozens and dozens of acorn woodpeckers. If you see one acorn woodpecker, there's 8. They are communal nesters. I think the idea is, the chicks from one year stick around for year 2 and help raise the next year. So just wherever there's one, there's 8 or so. Lots of kestrels, of course, good habitat. And then our great horned owl, we did see him again at the end of our hike when we were coming back, and he looks to be in a more calm state. There it is. Yellow-billed magpie. I think this was it the first night we were hiking back. One lone yellow-billed magpie flew in, and I asked Bruce to take this photo wide like this because in addition to the yellow-billed magpie, there's also acorn woodpecker, and then 1, 2, 3 western bluebirds kind of everybody just perched in the top of the tree. So our lifer, yellow-billed magpie, we did it. Yay. So day 4, this was a Sunday. Here we are going to a national park on a holiday weekend. I didn't think this part through. Oh well, we get there at sunrise, before sunrise, and there are other people also arriving. Stereos bumping, part of a big family on a holiday weekend, so they're talking really loud. So it starts getting hot fast. I'm getting mad. Anyway, we end up going back up. We stop at this road twice. We'll talk about why. And then at a certain point, we're like, we're going to go beard the Airbnb ranch because that place is awesome. So Pinnacles National Park, it is very beautiful. And we did have the trail for the most part alone at the very beginning. It was really, really nice before the sun came up and started hitting. Canyon Wren, it was from me to you. It was so close and it was so nice to see. California Towhee again. California Scrub Jay, Hutton's Vireo. I haven't seen it before, but this one was Bruce's lifer Hutton's Vireo. And then just a picture of the acorn woodpecker, how they cache their seeds. So they stuff stuff into trees, telephone poles, and such. All these big black things in the sky. Remember, the only reason we're at Pinnacles is for condors. These are all turkey vultures. I can't tell you how many turkey vultures we saw, and not a single one of them was a condor. And again, I'm getting mad. I'm getting real sassy. And so it's like noon at this point now. It's getting kind of late and it's hot and people are noisy and the trails are packed. And we're like, all right, well, this trail is called the Condor Gulch Trail. We got to walk down this trail. We bump into some people. They see binoculars and they're like, are you looking for condors? We're like, yeah. And they're like, we just saw 4 of them. And I'm like, 4? What do they look like? And they were like, there was white on the underside of the wing. And I'm like, those, I didn't tell them. But like Bruce and I got down the trail and we're like, I saw 4 turkey vultures. Like, there's just no way. Anyway, we get to this point and Lord, thank you. We did see 1 singular California condor. Now, if you see a California condor, just about every single one of them is going to have a tag on the leading edge of their wing. And then you can go online and you can look up their bio. This one is called Phoebe the Forager. And I was reading her bio earlier today, and she is very prolific. She beat the record for like when they released them from the pens, the acclimation pens, because she was born in captivity. Her parents are in captivity. She came from like the LA Zoo, I think. They put him in this big acclimation pen on the edge of the cliff, and they kind of just open it one day and see what they do. And usually all the chicks, the young ones, they hang around for a long time. She was on the coast in 2 days. Like somebody saw her eating a seal on the beach. And so she's been like a big traveler. She's had like 6 chicks. She's had 7, but only 1 has passed away, which like I think is pretty spectacular statistics in terms of condors. Like they don't make babies very well. Apparently that first chick was not by her mate. Her bio said she was very popular. And I don't know who writes these condor bios, but they were like, and she's a dominant female, but she keeps the peace. She can often be seen intermingling with the other condors, but is very polite to them. I don't know. It was very entertaining to read, and you can like click on all of her chicks and her mate and read their bios. It's like reality TV. But anyway, there's Phoebe the Forager, and she's like 15 years old. Thank you. Otherwise, I'd be really mad. So we're driving out of Pinnacles. We're just going to go straight back to the Airbnb at this point because it was awesome birding. But we're driving, and I'm like, let me hop on eBird. Let me put on a filter for life birds that I've never seen before in my life anywhere. And what's within like 30, 15 miles, I can't remember. And there was this road not far away that had Bell's sparrows. And I'm looking at this checklist, and I've learned like, well, if it's an interesting bird, check who made the checklist. Do they seem like they're a good birder? Are they local, or is it another tourist and they don't even know what they're talking about? I click on the checklist. and I see that the checklist name Debbie Shearwater. And I was like, that's unique. Like, I don't know, not that I know what she's up to, but what a coinkydink. Like, she probably knows what she's talking about. Let's go out and we'll see this spot. And so in the middle of these like really dry, arid hills, there's this really disgusting pond. And if you saw on the video, all these little dots are quail. There were a couple hundred California quail, just cute as can be. They dispersed when the car showed up, but then they all quickly started herding back to drink water. And then there were a number of Bell's sparrows as well coming to drink. So life bird, there were oak titmouse coming down and phoebes, and just all the birds in the area were coming to drink at this disgusting puddle. So we leave. We have seen that cool bird. We're driving past. Bruce is going to go get gas. And as we're passing our Airbnb, on the ranch property is also a reservoir. You can either, we are ranch guests, we could hike 3 miles to go scope it out. Or man, there's this berm that you can barely not see it from the road. And we're like, man, we really wish we could drive up through that gate and see it right there. And we're driving past it. I see a car up on the berm and they have a scope. And I was like, Bruce, there's birders up there. They got behind the gate. They have a scope. I was like, we gotta go. How do we get back there? There's gotta be a way. So we go get gas. I come back. I'm like, Bruce, pull over. We're just gonna like casually be on the other side of the gate, and we'll see if they talk to us. And so these 2 birders finally they come through the gate and they see us and they're like, start conversation, and they introduce themselves. And I'm Jessica, and this is Bruce, and that's Steve, and I'm Debbie. And I was like, Debbie won. And she gives me a look. And I was like, and I like very openly was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I like, I want to like compliment her. And I was like, oh my God, I know who you are. I've seen the gear. And I just went and saw your bell sparrows that you had reported on eBird yesterday. And I was like, oh, so helpful. And, so like they get us on, they let me get on their scope and we look out and there's what the heck's that cormorant called? Neotropic cormorant is out there. It's like the 2nd county record. Steve Rottenborn happens to be there to like point us out to it. We're like, that's cool. Debbie is telling us, oh, you were at that La Gloria pond. Did you see the Lawrence's goldfinch? I said, no. She said, well, you got to go back. And she described this pinpoint on the road and these mile markers and landmarks and to get the Lawrence's goldfinch. And we did eventually go there next. But then she's like, well, since you are staying on the ranch, you've signed the hiking waiver. You can meet me here again at 8 a.m. and we can go bird the reservoir. And Bruce is like, well, we've got plans to get down to Monterey tomorrow. And I was like, Bruce, we're going to go birding with Debbie Shearwater. Shut up. So anyway, we say goodbye. We head down back to La Gloria Road. We find the spigot that is dripping water. That's all it is, but it's just enough water that there are dozens of bell sparrows and at least a dozen or so Lawrence's goldfinches. There's a purple finch there. There's all these cool birds. There's constantly quail, and they're all coming to drink at this little spring. So really cool experience. This is what the road looked like. It's just a dirt road, and down there is a spigot dripping water. But we ran into like the top eBirders in the county, like the bigwigs, and they kind of know all these weird little spots and were telling us where to go see things. So we go back to the ranch. We're hiking around. Look, there's my Aiken hat. I was thinking of you. So day 5, we get up and bird the ranch again because it's awesome. We go bird the reservoir with Debbie. We then go chasing some rare bird she had gotten the wind. Turns out she's the rare bird like reviewer for that county. And so like anything that came through, we were like, what are we going for now, Debbie? And she was super nice to us and like invited us to go with them to like this next spot. Eventually we did say goodbye. We headed out toward Monterey. Went to the beach, went up into the mountain, went back to the beach. Birds call, birds show up. We get the word, and then we head up to our destination. This Moss Landing, I chose to stay there because just looking at a map of the bay, there was this estuary, this big like river that came into the bay, the Elkhorn Slough. And I was like, man, I bet that's awesome for kayaking. I bet there's so much cool birds and stuff there. And sure enough, there was a kayak outfitter, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to go kayaking our very last morning. The kayak outfitter, apparently, like, you have a 100% chance of kayaking with sea otters at this place and seals. And I was like, that sounds great. We're going to stay in this Moss Landing place. Don't really recommend Moss Landing. It's kind of like the industrial outskirts of everything. It wasn't nice. Anyway, so we're birding Piscinus Ranch again. We're hearing soras down here in the wetland. Killdeer fly, can kind of hear them. There's Bruce. So we go up, we're birding the reservoir. There's Debbie. What was her dog's name? Boo Boo, Bobo, something like that. But the reason why she was birding this reservoir second day in the row is that neotropic cormorant. We wanted better images or to see what was else showing up there. Bruce got this picture of a harrier, and it's got some bird in its talons. Who knows? Cassin's kingbird, only one of the trip. I don't remember when the coyote ran past on this beach. I don't remember it looking so dapper and confident. And I don't remember it winking at us, but that's good photography, Bruce. You can kind of see underneath my blue dot, there's a group of white pelicans. So there was a lot of shorebirds. Black-necked stilt were out there. Yellow legs. Oh, there was a Wilson snipe out there, which was pretty cool to see. The neotropic cormorant must have flown the coop. Or maybe it was like, they said it could have been roosting in these trees over here, just hadn't come down for the day. Who knows? But we didn't see it on that second day. That's fine. We had seen it the day before. So we go over to this random Santa Anita Road. A fella had seen a least flycatcher, and that's what we were looking for. We found a western flycatcher. They thought that was cool. But we're seeing other good birds. There was, I forget what this plant is called now, but there were like 20 hummingbirds zipping around it, fluttering, which was really nice. On the way out there, Debbie said, oh, well, you always see yellow-billed magpies on this road. If we spot some, we'll stop. So she's like taking us under her wing, and she's like listening to what we want to see and our experience, and she's giving us tips on everything. And then at the very end, I was like, can I get a picture with you? Long ago, Bruce and I were staying at the same place as the Irwins, and it's always been a regret of mine. This was after Steve passing, but it's always been a regret of mine that I didn't take that nerdy photo with the celebrity. And so ever since then, I'm like, if I meet another celebrity, I'm gonna get a picture with him, okay? So there's my picture with Debbie. She was like, you gotta make sure that my shirt's in there. There's a shearwater on her shirt. But she was really nice and gave us a lot of great tips. Just really funny to run into her out there. So now we are into Monterey. We stop, get some good sandwiches. Those are not my flip-flops right there. But we stopped at this particular place to walk these trails along this rocky tide pool zone because a few things had been reported here. I think we were mainly here for the Pacific golden plover. And there it is. Unfortunately, it is on a background where it really blends in. But Pacific golden plover, here's a black-bellied plover. There were lots of those. Black oyster catchers, wherever there was one, it was a pair. That looks like a black turnstone, and this might be a surfbird. I can't tell. Pectoral sandpiper was out there as well. All of these heads are sea otters. So lots and lots of sea otters out there, seals, gulls, shorebirds, lots of good stuff. And then there was one baby sea otter, and its mom is underneath it, holding it up. And she would leave it sometime and go back down. Wandering tattler. This was another bird that I had missed my first trip. We had continued to miss it when we were on the beach the first half of this second trip. But we found wandering tattler, ruddy turnstone. And then here's a cormorant. Thank you. I think pelagic cormorant was the one we were having trouble with. So this is the different part of the year. Those Brandt's cormorants no longer have the white spot. All the cormorants that are not, well, we're familiar with double-crested cormorants. but it's hard for us to figure out what is a Brant's and what's a pelagic cormorant. The only like field mark that we're like confident we're looking for at this time of year is there is a greenish purple glossy sheen on the pelagic cormorants. And there were a couple at this location that we thought fit the bill. So we've seen those target birds that are right there. I mean, now we're getting into some quick birds where we show up, there's the target bird, we're good to go. We head up to Jack's Peak County Park. This was not on my to-go-to list, but in talking to Debbie, I was saying, yeah, I really wanted to see hermit warblers, but they're not showing up on eBird. It seems like nobody is seeing a hermit warbler, or if they are, it's like one person 2 weeks ago saw one in their backyard. I just don't know how to see one. I don't know where to go. And she was like, yeah, it's a little early. They winter here. But she mentioned this spot specifically. She said, go to this place in Monterey. We are just late in September enough that, or August, September, that the first of them are arriving, and I bet you'll find one in there. She said, just go to this place, start hiking around, listen for the pygmy nuthatches, and that's probably who they're moving with. So we were like, all right, Debbie, I'll do anything you say. I did think it was cute at the bathrooms. They had some bowls of water, and there's a little Junco drinking from it. So we start hiking, and it's a beautiful park. It's so remote, but you're not that far from Monterey, honestly, but a great vantage point, good signs, band-tailed pigeon. So we're hiking, and we're like, oh my gosh, I hate this kind of birding. We're like looking straight up into these pines. Eventually we do hear pygmy nuthatches. So we're on alert. And there's this big mixed flock that comes through. Townsend's warblers. I'm like, come on, there's pygmy nuthatches, there's Townsend's warblers now. There was a Cassin's vireo, brown creeper, hairy woodpecker, there's western flycatcher. It's really good birding, even if there's not going to be a hermit warbler, but there was. So we do get really good looks at least one, if not maybe two separate individual hermit warblers. So thank you, Debbie. So look at that. We're going back to the beach for some reason. We're leaving Jack's Peak, and it's getting to be late. At this point, we need to head up to our Airbnb, or we're going to get there after dark. But then we take a little peek at the rare bird report, and there's a harlequin duck in Pebble Beach. And we're like, you know what? We're going to go for it. Let's go for it. Turns out I think this is the Pebble Beach, like the Pebble Beach golf course. We're driving there, and we go through a guard gate, and the guard is like, that'll be $17, please. Or how much was it? $12? No, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. So it was $12, but it was to access 17-mile drive. And it's kind of lame sometimes to pay for birding, but we're like, are we really going to pay $12 for a duck? Yeah, we are. And beautiful place, and we get to this, we're like, it's called Bird Rock, come on. Lots of great birds, and we do find this one duck curled up in the rock there. So harlequin duck, just one more for the list on this trip. Okay, so the game plan here, remember, was we wake up in Moss Landing and we go kayaking. We're going to sleep, or maybe we made the decision the next morning, and I was like, you know what? We've seen all the birds. What new bird are we going to see if we go kayaking? We've seen a whole bunch of seals. We've seen a whole bunch of sea otters. Do we need to go get in a boat and have that time commitment? We're just going to skip it. So we just decided to skip it, and we played that day by ear. Our room that we were in, it was on the second level, and it had these huge windows looking out into that estuary that we could have been kayaking through. And we woke up before sunrise. It's low tide. This little mud bank is full of shorebirds. There's mud exposed all up and down. And we just sit there with our coffee for over an hour scoping. There's a great egret right there next to my blue dot. At a certain point, at the very end, we had kind of wrapped up everything. We're about to head out the door, and a barn owl just flies by the window, does a big loop. It's getting chased by a Cooper's hawk. And yeah, you can't, I don't know where to find a barn owl. It just flew out right there in front of our window.
Like that was nice to kind of just take it easy. We're seeing lots of great birds, cool stuff, but with coffee in hand. Before I went on this trip, David Sojian up in Denver mentioned, ooh, Jetty Road. If you're going to be in Moss Landing, go on Jetty Road. It's great for shorebirds. When we were with Debbie, we mentioned we're going to go on Jetty Road. And she said, oh, she was like, be careful. She was like, I know birders who have been held up at gunpoint there. And so Bruce is on, I am too. We are both like on edge going down. And it's like, you've seen how misty and spooky it is. And we are like just on edge going down this road. And we see like one character at the very end of the road. And we're like, you know what? We're not getting out of the car. Let's go. There's no new birds here. It's just more of the same birds, more of the same seals. Although we did see a lot of ring-billed gulls. These might have been the first ring-billed gulls of the trip. So I think we at least got one more bird out of the sketchy Jetty Road. Recommend it. Just have good locks on your car. Bird from your car. We're just kind of tootling up the coast. Who knows where we're going to end up? The airport, hopefully, at some point this day. But we stop at this state beach. It's airport day. So if you're looking at the clock, we've got to be gone sometime soon. But we stop at this Manresa State Beach, and we don't really walk around anywhere. We just scope from this one location for like 40 minutes to an hour. Really quiet off the coast. We're like right in the pit of that Monterey Bay. We picked up here a lot of Western grebes, and I think we had our only surf scoter of this second trip at this location. Lots of, marbled godwits and long-billed curlews on every beach this trip, which is, they're cool birds, and it's special for us to see them in Colorado. They were everywhere there. So good birding here for a little while. And then again, checking the rare bird report. There's the one Wilson's phalarope. We had seen lots of red and red-necked phalaropes on the pelagic trip, but there's like one Wilson's phalarope apparently hanging out in this lagoon. We get to the lagoon, and it's behind this gate, and this padlock is open. And I was like, Bruce, pretend like you're breaking in. And this is Bruce going, I'm not going to do that. That's a bad look. Anyway, we go through the gate because it's unlocked. There's a couple other birders here, but it's this like protected little sanctuary of this really cool dune ecosystem. There's California thrashers are calling and hopping around in these plants. And there are the phalaropes down here and lots more of those shorebirds. Nice viewing platform. So it's a great little birding spot. You don't have to walk very far. Pretty accessible. This paved walkway doesn't take you very far in there. So again, curlews. Here are short-billed dowitchers. We tried and tried and tried to get long-billed dowitchers, but there was just never a dowitcher that seemed a little bigger with a little bigger bill. Just didn't happen for us. Let's see, which one is this the Wilson's phalarope? Of course, I had 50-50 and missed it. Okay, one of these is, which one is it? Okay, this is the Wilson's phalarope. We saw it, yay! And it was doing the little cyclone feeding. Nope, wrong way. So there is a sign like near the gate that says, or I think on eBird it says like restricted access, just check in, but maybe because we were there on a random weekday, middle of the day, maybe they unlock it for the birders that are going to stroll through. So we stopped at this. So we are back in San Francisco. Notice that the weather has like really changed now. Sunny all of a sudden. We're up in San Francisco and we stop in the Shoreline Park. It's on the bay. I feel like this park is what Prospect Lake at Memorial Park could be if you like waved a big magic wand over it. There were people getting into this little lake thing, going kite surfing and paddle boarding, and there was a restaurant on the shoreline and public restrooms and public lockers, and it was just this cool setup, cool recreational setup. And we stopped here solely for black skimmers. This was one bird we had not yet seen on the trip. This was just, they were way out yonder. I think in this photo, yeah, this whitish. We don't have to see them up close. We just have to see them. And at one point, I think one of the kite surfers got a little too close. The flock picks up. They're all skimming across the water. They settled back down. So that was nice. I really like black skimmers. New bird for the trip. And then we go to those Baylands again one last time. I was like, Bruce, we got to go to the Baylands. The Baylands are near-ish to the airport. So if you are flying in and out of San Francisco for whatever reason, this isn't far. And it's a nice place to go birding. We're kind of doing one last check around for different shorebirds. Again, like notice Bruce does not have his camera on him. At this point, we're like, we've seen everything. We're feeling good. We don't need any more pictures. So we're just kind of coasting. We're hanging out. We're feeling good. Oh my gosh, we're at the end. We did it. So on this second trip, we went 6 counties. We went south. We saw 166 species, so 22 additional species from my first trip. I had 19 lifers this time. Most of them, at least 10, maybe 11, were out on that pelagic trip. There's our pelagic trip going way out there. Bruce had 43 live birds. Woo! Probably about 530 miles. And, granted, this is split between 2 people. And we had a companion ticket, about $2,700. I did pretty good on time. Yay. Thanks for coming with me. Questions? Bedtimes? Eat all the cookies Devin brought? Oh, the cookies are gone? I'm just checking the chat.
You should check the items in the back. You might want to make a donation.
Cool. Hey, thanks. You know where to find me. And go look at Bruce's pictures that are at Fountain Creek Nature Center. Yeah. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you. How many hours? There's no way. I will remember that.
You ready? Great. Wait, if you want to go, let me know. Billy Birdie, like that. I agree all. Yeah, but also next weekend I don't have a busy day.
My favorite. There was at least $25 in there. So.
I'm saying, busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if you do it on Sunday, if you do it, because I have nothing. If you do it Sunday, Sunday. Okay, well.
Great job. Great job. As long as somebody, you know, tells me where, do you have a bicycle? Okay, I will down there, it's at the end of the month. Don't have a bicycle. So like. I can't go. Yeah. I had it in my bag. Well, it's only November 1st though, right? No. Oh, that's. So, and I just. I can drive. This is 50.
It's pretty
If
great.
not tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, I'll start. Yeah. Do I have to sign up? I have to, I'm gonna pick up. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're my trip too.
This is our fall.
Hey.
Silver Jeep?
Silver Jeep. There's a Jeep over here that's going.
Olive farming. I don't know, it's not going, it
Yours?
goes so far away.
Not mine. Yeah, because I really am directionally challenged.
But if there's someone who is behind, I don't. Who knows a bird? I'm so
I'm happy to.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Such a warbler. Let's figure it out. Hey, there. And then we'll log it as volunteer hours. And because every year we have to like go to the National Society and hey, that's a few more volunteer hours.
Yeah.
Birds, good for people, and we're like partnering with them, maybe get tossed out.
Because they opened that door, I was like.
Connected with the fact that it's not about. So it's great, thank you. I didn't mean to like put you like super on.
Okay, so first.
That's what tomorrow.
It's like whoever walks by. You didn't need to have a lot. I didn't even look at it yet, between like work and stuff.
He did. I followed you.
Sweet.
But when you mindset of like, no, I take it back. You, I wouldn't sleep. And actually, you did. I have to email you. Last minute invite. I'm gonna miss that.
Oh, okay. There's a wait list.
I know. I'm gonna miss the tallies thing. I'm gonna check the time. I'm pretty sure it's an evening.
All right.
You're not.
No, I've known since.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's right on the Gen Z millennial cusp. Okay. Actually, well, I mainly want to interview Alan.
The bird and body. Yeah. Yeah, but I know now. I'm leaving it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do I have to bring
Maybe.
I'm kidding.
They might drive up.
I would say that Alan is the main leader and you
Friend in the race.
are just there.
Yeah, I don't know. See you.
That was a great fun spot. My assistant, so I've been reading.
Yeah. Grace. Yeah. Oh, I do it every once in a while, like, I don't know if you've been, I should walk on basis that. I go every once in a while, yeah, Tuesday, if you go to the Tuesday, 5:30, cable.
Yeah.
That's just a Saturday morning, yeah, it's just a Saturday morning.
And then.
There you go.
Just.
Yeah. Yeah, and crazy people there. Sick with.
There's a bird and she's not actively looking at it, it's like we thought.
She's good at it too.
Well, the thing I tell them. But here, how far down is that? I think it's 12 or so.
From high school, they graduated 2018.